1 million people are at risk of being deported from the United Kingdom if Robert Jenry becomes the next Prime Minister of the UK. This is very, very serious. It's something that people from the minority community must not take for granted. Robert Jenrick is likely to become the next leader of the Conservative Party, and he has made it very, very clear that his number one focus is to deport 1 million people from Britain. Don't take my word, I'm not here to scare you, but I'm here to give you the information that you can use to plan. There's an old African saying that when a tree is falling from the sky, the wise ones do not wait for the tree to fall on their head before they take action. They use what they see from far to plan. That is why I am giving you this information today, for you to use this information to start making your plan, because Robert Jenrick is likely to become the next leader of the Conservative Party in November, and he has a very, very good chance of becoming the next Prime Minister of this country. This is why you shouldn't take this for granted. So this young man that I'm showing you now is a South African who has lived in the United Kingdom for more than 15 years. His name is Shugombo Tuwala. This young man, I will tell you why. I will come back to Robert Jenrick in a sec, but I'm just showing you why. If you live in the UK, do not take this for granted. This young man that I'm showing you now, the South African guy, despite the fact that he has lived in the UK and he has his indefinite leave to remain, he was stopped from returning back to the UK. The South African guy that I'm going to show you now, he went on holiday in Turkey. Whilst he was in Turkey, this young man, after he finished his holiday, he was coming back to the UK. He has indefinite leave to remain, and he was stopped from coming back to the UK. This brother stayed in Turkey for 18 months. Guess what? Who stopped him? It was Rob Jenrick, this guy that wants to become the next Prime Minister of this country. At that time, he was the immigration minister. Despite the fact that this brother is legal in the UK, he came to the UK as a young man. Robert Jenrick denied him access to the UK to come and meet his son. Robert Jenrick has described himself as the UK's Donald Trump, and he has said that the centerpiece of his policy is to deport 1 million people from the UK. Do not take my word. This is Robert Jenrick's word himself. So this is why this information is very, very important. I want to also know what your views are. Do you think that, yes, it is long overdue that 1 million people who are in the UK illegally, in the case of this South African brother, he is in the UK legally. He has indefinite leave to remain. For those watching us from outside the UK, indefinite leave to remain is permanent resident. Give it to somebody is what we call settled status. When you have indefinite leave to remain, it means that you are no longer under immigration control. So in the case of this young boy, he had indefinite leave to remain, and yet Robert Jenrick ordered the Home Office staff to cancel his paper. Why? He said because the young man committed a crime 15 years ago when he first arrived in the UK, despite the fact that the law is very clear. It was after this young man's lawyer took the case to court. When the judge was about to start hearing the case, that was when the Home Office said, no, we are not going to contest this anymore. and the boy was not awarded. This man stayed in Turkey for 18 good years for no reason. Why am I telling you this guy's story today? Because I'm telling you this story because we know that Robert Jenrick is not just making mouth. Robert Jenrick, his actions is consistent with what he is saying now. Robert Jenrick was the minister who resigned under Rishi Sunak because he said the plan to deport people to Rwanda, that plan was not strict enough. So this is a man who came to the political scene as a moderate, but today him and Nigel Farage, we don't even know whether he's gone further on the right of the political spectrum more than Nigel Farage, all in the name to win vote. So as an ethnic minority who lives in the UK, this is a time for you to be following what is happening in the political state. What can you do to insulate yourself? Number one, some of our people, they always say, oh, I don't want to apply for British passport. Okay, I am not telling you to apply for British passport if you're due one, but just look at what happened to our brother from South Africa. Look at what happened to him. It could happen to you. Robert Jenrick has made it very, very clear that his number one target is to deport 1 million people from the UK. We don't know. He said he wants to be the next Trump. So I'm going to read to you what he said. Robert Jenrick vows to kick out 1 million illegal migrants out of the UK as Tory leadership can vow to send British soft touch reputation as MP. Robert Jenrick is a man in a hurry. Since the Tory leadership contest began in July, he has crisscrossed the country to take a more than 150 events with Tory leaders. This man has made it very, very clear. And we know from his actions in the past, he stopped someone who has document to remain in the UK. He stopped the person from coming back to the UK. And this brother from South Africa, who has indefinite leave to remain in the UK, stayed 18 months in Turkey without his family. He only went to Turkey on holiday. So if it can happen to this brother, it can happen to you. What are the things that you can do to insulate yourself? A lot of people from our community are due for British citizenship, but some of them, for different reasons, they say they don't want to apply. I am not telling you to apply. It is entirely your decision. All I'm telling you that we know that even British citizen does not guarantee it can be withdrawn from you if you were not born in the UK. Yes, we know that. But the threshold for the government to revoke your British citizen has to be on national security ground. You have to do something. You have to be involved in some form of criminality for the government to revoke your citizenship. If you are a law-abiding citizen like me, I am telling you that this is not. Britain still has the rule of law. It has not reached the point where the government can just wake up one day and say, I don't like your face, and revoke your citizenship. This is why we are advising people from Black and minority community to follow what is happening in the political sphere. The political arena has shifted. Imagine having Trump in America and Robert Jenrick in Britain. My God, that is scary. So this is why we are saying that people from our community, if you come from Commonwealth background, Nigeria, Ghana, India, Pakistan, Uganda, South Africa, Jamaica, Barbados, any country that was colonized by Great Britain and you're living in the UK legally, you do not need to be a British citizen for you to be able to vote in this country. Make sure you go and register, put your name on the electoral register. Do not ignore this call. Brothers and sisters, the times we are ahead, we are living in a kaleidoscope world where scapegoating, divisiveness is now the norm. This is not the time. I am not here to panic you. I am giving you this information for you to plan. Make sure you put your name on the electoral register if you are living in the UK legally. Don't forget that Commonwealth citizens, we have been British since 1947. Since 1947, our forefathers died for this country in the First and Second World War. Our grandparents came to rebuild this country after the Second World War. We are a stakeholder in this country as anyone. So we have to make sure that we involve in the democratic process. Whilst Robert Jenrick, we don't know what Robert Jenrick hasn't told the world how he's going to solve the problems facing this country. We love this country like anyone. He hasn't told anyone. He hasn't unveiled any credible plan. But all we hear from him and others on the right of the political spectrum is politics of fear, divisiveness, trying to pitch one group against another. We have to be alert. So make sure you go and register. You put your name on the electoral register. If you have lived in the United Kingdom and you are due for British citizen, it's entirely up to you. But my advice for you is to make sure that you go and apply for your British passport if you are due for one. Because you saw the example of this South African brother I gave you. He has lived in the UK for more than 15 years. He has indefinite leave to remain, which means that he's not under immigration control. And yet, he was denied access to return back to the UK, a country he has called home for many years. So if it can happen to that South African brother, it can happen to you as well. So this is why I'm saying, I know a lot of our people, we are at the bottom of the economy strand. Our main goal is how do we put food on the table for our children and help our family back home. But you need security. This is why if you've seen any value in this content, you can show appreciation to this channel by sharing this video to people from minority community. If you do not take anything away from this video, the two things I want you to take away from this video are: make sure you put your name on the electoral register, and make sure you consider applying for British citizenship if you have lived in the UK for many years and you're due one. It is very, very important. The South African brother was denied access back to the UK because he did not apply for his passport. After the incident, the incident gave his family wake-up call. His sister said, and I quote, "I never thought I would apply for British citizen, but after what happened to my brother, I had to hurriedly go and submit my application." That is not my word. That is a sister. I am not affected. I am not affected. It's not about me. It's about making sure that our people have the information for them to be able to make plans. Whilst Robert Jenrick is coming up with all this hardline message to resonate, to try to appeal to a section of the British society, what he has failed to explain is that as we speak today, there are more over 65 in Britain than 16 years old. How is he going to address the problem of poor educational output in this country, low productivity? 100% of British GDP is debt. He hasn't said anything about all that. But the easiest thing to do in politics is to blame, tap on people's insecurity, because you know that when you tap on people's insecurity and you create an environment of them and us, blame people, it works. But this is why we are appealing to people from our community. Make sure you register to vote. This is too important because we know that Robert Jenrick is going to become the next leader of the Conservative Party, and he has a very good chance of becoming the next prime minister of this country. Do not wait for the tree to fall on your head before you start crying. Make sure you are taking steps now to insulate yourself. As I said before, I am saying it again. Make sure you go and register to vote and consider applying for British passport if you have lived in this country and you're due for one. It is very, very important. You saw what happened to the brother who did not have British passport. Despite having indefinite leave to remain in the UK, he was denied access to return back to the UK. This is very, very important that you share this video with your family and friends, and you can show appreciation to this channel by giving this video a like so that more people from our community can see it. I am not just here, I'm showing you newspaper report of what Robert Jenrick plans are. It's now left for you to make sure that other people from our community, they see this video and they use it to plan. Make sure you take away the two things I said. Number one, your name must be on the electoral register. You do not need to be a British citizen for you to vote in this country. And in fact, having your name on the electoral register is good because it means that it will enhance your credit. You will be able to get credit because when creditors are checking for your address, they see that you live in that address, they will know that yes, this person resides in this address. It will boost your credit. So make sure you put your name on the electoral register. That is very important. And whether you come from all the Commonwealth countries that were colonized by Great Britain, as long as you live in this country legally, you can register to vote. Don't forget to share this video with anyone that you know will benefit. Robert Jenrick has already set out his plan, and even though those that have lived in UK that have legal right to be in the UK, they are not immune from Robert Jenrick policy, because we can see from his past that this man, he means what he's saying and is going to carry it out. Don't forget to show appreciation to this channel by sharing, giving this video a like, and make sure you leave your comment in the comment section whether you think that Robert Jenrick plan they are right or wrong. May God bless you. I'll see you soon.